You don't wake up one morning and realize you've grown up. It doesn't hit you like that. It's slower, quieter, like a slow bleed you don't notice until you're lightheaded, until you're too far gone to go back. Growing up isn't about getting older. It's about watching pieces of yourself die and pretending it's called maturity. You stop laughing the way you're used to, not because things aren't funny, but because now you're aware of consequences, of context, of eyes watching, and silently judging. So you trade joy for control, freedom for discipline, dreams for rent payments. You think it's responsibility, but it's grief dressed up as adulthood. No one tells you that growing up is a series of tiny funerals. You bury your spontaneity under schedules. You smother your curiosity with credentials. You kill your courage in the name of caution. You bury your old self alive just to make it in the system. And then you wonder why you feel empty. It's not that you lost everything. It's that you gave it all up to survive. Your younger self wouldn't recognize you now. Not just the face, the eyes, the spirit. Back then, you dreamed about who you become. Now, you just try to survive where you already are. Nobody warns you that growing up is being awake at 2 a.m., questioning every decision, scrolling through photos of who you used to be, a stranger who smiled more, cared less, lived louder. You say you're tired, but it's not sleep you're missing. It's you. You think you miss your childhood. No, you missed a version of yourself that believed in people, in love, in something more. But now you know better, right? Now you're realistic. Now you're an adult. And adults don't hope. They cope. They drink. They scroll. They fake it. You tell yourself this is just life. But that's a lie. You were like a suit, pressed, polished, dead inside. You didn't grow up. You gave up. And you did it so gradually. You thought it was growth. But deep down, in that part of you that still aches, you know, you didn't lose everything by accident. You surrendered it, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but a mask. And the worst part, you wear it so well, even you forgot what's underneath. They told you that if you worked hard, played nice, followed a path, you'd win. You'd be happy. You'd have everything. So you played the game. You went to school. You smiled at people you hated. You chased validation like a dog begging for scraps. You molded yourself into who they wanted, thinking it would lead to who you wanted to be. And now here you are, working a job that pays you just enough to forget your potential, living for weekends that disappear in hours, scrolling through lives you'll never have, and wondering, is this it? You used to be hungry for life. Now you're just hungry for a break, a pause, a reason. But all you get is noise, more bills, more pressure, more masks to wear and roles to play, all while you drown in a world that praises performance over presence. They told you to grow up, but they never told you it meant shrinking yourself down to fit into systems built to keep you quiet, obedient, predictable. The truth is, success was never designed to fulfill you. It was designed to consume you, to chew you up and spit you out as a useful cog, efficient, exhausted, replaceable. They told you adulthood was freedom, but it feels more like a prison where you pay rent on your own cage. You decorate with goals and milestones just to distract yourself from the truth. You're not living. You're surviving on autopilot. Remember when you said you'd never become them? The lifeless adults. The ones who look dead behind the eyes. Congratulations. You became exactly what you feared. And nobody even had to force you. You volunteered. Because the world convinced you that this is how it's supposed to be. That losing yourself is part of being responsible. But what if the cost is too high? What if the version of you traded away was the only one that could have made you feel alive? You think you need a better job, a better apartment, a vacation. No, what you need is resurrection. Because what died wasn't your ambition. It was your soul. And until you face that, no amount of external success will ever quiet the internal scream. Remember the things you used to dream about. You wanted to travel the world, start something that mattered, fall in love without holding back, make something beautiful, be someone unforgettable. But now, you wake up to an alarm, not a purpose. You scroll through other people's lives, while yours fades into a routine of quiet regret. You traded possibility for predictability. You chose stability over passion. And now you're stuck, safe but empty. No one tells you when it happens. No announcement, no final warning. Just one day, you look around and realize your life is full of things you never really wanted, and missing the very things you can't stop thinking about. It's not just the big dreams you gave up on. It's the small ones that quietly died in your chest. The hobby you abandoned because it didn't pay. The person you let go of because the timing wasn't right. The risk you didn't take because fear won that day. And worst of all, you don't even mourn those losses. You justify them. That's just being realistic. That's how life works. I had to grow up. But growing up didn't make you wise. It made you numb. You used to feel things deeply. Now you just manage emotions like tasks. Suppress, bury, ignore, then wonder why nothing excites you anymore. That version of you who believed in more, they didn't die because they were naive. They died because you stopped protecting them. You let the world shame you out of your wonder, mock you out of your enthusiasm, and slowly you became normal, comfortably dying inside. But hey, at least you're productive, right? The tragedy isn't that you lost your dreams. It's that you started believing you never had to write to them in the first place. You don't need a new life. You need to stop killing yourself to fit into one you were never meant for. You remember when everything felt new, when a tree wasn't just a tree, it was a secret world, when a cardboard box could be a spaceship, when youth didn't need permission to dream. Now you need caffeine to get out of bed. You need a reason just to feel anything. What happened? They didn't kill your body. They killed your wonder. You used to ask questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do dreams go? What happens after this? Now you only ask, how much is my account? Did I have to answer that email? What time is my next meeting? You used to chase stars. Now you chase deadlines. You used to believe in magic. Now you believe in monthly payments and 5-year plans. Wonder was a part of you that fell alive without needing proof. It's what made you you. And they trained it out of you, slowly, quietly, permanently. You stopped seeing beauty in things, not because the beauty disappeared, but because your ability to feel it did. That's the real loss. Not the people, not the dreams, not the chances. It's the loss of the eyes you used to see the world with. You thought growing up was gaining clarity, but it was really about losing layers of joy. Layer by layer, they stripped you of spontaneity, of curiosity, of chaos, because they couldn't control someone who still believed in fireflies. So they replaced your imagination with productivity, your sense of wonder with a sense of duty, your joy with guilt, your praise for being responsible. But no one talks about the part of you that had to die to earn that praise. You walk through life like a ghost, dead behind the eyes, smiling on the outside, but somewhere deep inside, a small voice still whispers, remember who you were before the world told you who to be. But you silence it, because if you really listen, you'd have to face the truth. The price of growing up was you. There comes a moment when you stop chasing life and start surviving it. You don't even notice it at first. You just say things like, I'm tired, I've been busy, maybe next week. But what you really mean is, I don't remember the last time I felt alive. The fire, it's not out. It's just buried under bills, routines, responsibilities, and a dull ache of pretending everything's fine. You laugh at memes about burnout like it's a joke. But deep down, you know, it's not funny. It's a confession. They trained you to equate exhaustion with success. The more drained you are, the more adult you must be. And so, you wear your misery like a badge of honor. You say things like, "That's just life." As if life is supposed to feel like drowning in slow motion. You're prey for coping, not healing, for enduring, not feeling, for functioning, not thriving. Somewhere along the way, just getting to the day became an achievement, but nobody talks about the cost. The cost of numbing out just to make it through a Monday. The cost of forcing smiles in rooms that drain you. The cost of holding back tears because you have a meeting in 10 minutes. You're not living. You're performing life in a costume stitched together by fear, pressure, and routine. And the applause you get, it's not for who you are. It's for how well you pretend. You show up. You deliver. You keep the mask on. And when no one's watching, you quietly fall apart. But here's the part that burns. Even when you win in the system, you still lose. Because a version of you that had to die to meet everyone's expectations, that version was real, messy, loud, passionate, alive. And now you're left with the echo of who you were, living in a world where your value is measured by how well you betray yourself. So no, you didn't grow up. You just learned to survive. And that survival cost you everything that made life worth living. There's a moment. It doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't come with breakdowns. It comes quietly, in the middle of a random afternoon, while you're brushing your teeth, or standing in line, or staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. And it hits you. You've been surviving, not living. You've been checking boxes, following scripts, doing everything you were supposed to do, but none of it feels like you. You don't remember the last time you felt fully alive, not distracted, not entertained, alive. Growing up wasn't supposed to be this. This dull ache, this slow leak of color from your soul. You were told you'd find freedom. Instead, you found obligation. You were promised meaning. Instead, you managed symptoms of burnout and call it balance. But the truth is brutal. Growing up didn't kill you. You did, piece by piece, decision by decision. You silenced your voice to make others comfortable. You shrank your light to fit their narrative. You buried your wildness to be accepted. And now here you are, empty but polished, efficient but exhausted, connected but completely alone. They sold you a life that was never designed for the depth of your soul. And you bought it because they made the alternative seem reckless, immature, irresponsible. But what's more irresponsible than dying before you're dead? Listen to me. You don't need to fix your life. You need to wake up inside of it. Remember who you were before they told you who to be. Speak the truth you've been swallowing for years. Feel the things you've been numbing. Choose things that hurt a little because they matter a lot. Yes, growing up feels like losing everything, but maybe it's only through that loss that you finally find what was real. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you they buried is still breathing, waiting for you to dig.